Hey everybody, Jimmy Vercellino here, producing branch manager with Goldwater Bank Mortgage Division, and today is an incredibly important day that we as Americans need to be aware of. March 29th celebrates our Vietnam veterans. It is Vietnam Veterans Memorial Day. This day is important because in 1973, what happened is the last combat troop departed Vietnam. So on this day, we're going to take some time to honor our Vietnam veterans. We're going to learn about one veteran in particular's story and how we as Americans can learn what these men experienced when they went to these foreign lands, right? When they went to a combat zone halfway across the world and experienced things that you and I will probably never know, and nor do we want to. And then they leave this combat zone and they come home to a divided nation that is not supporting them, that they are now foreigners in their own country. And so I am passionate about advocacy for Vietnam veterans. I think that we as Americans have a purpose in making sure that they get the welcome home experience that veterans like myself that came home from Iraq had, but our Vietnam veterans did not receive. Vietnam veterans need healing. Matter of fact, there's a statistic here that says that roughly 500,000 of the 300 million troops who served in Vietnam suffer from something called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So my hope today by speaking with Frank is that Vietnam veterans will begin to have some healing by Americans re-inviting them or welcoming them back into our communities and giving them that hero's welcome that they never received. I hope you enjoy this video. Look at that! Thank you for your service to our great country, my man. Welcome home. It's time you get the welcome that you always deserved, my friend. Welcome home. Thank you for your service to our great country. Happy you're here. This is all for you, my friend. Thank you for your service. My guest today is an Army officer by the name of Frank Murtagh, who served honorably for 30 years in the United States Army. Frank, I want to say thank you for spending some time with us today. We appreciate you. I appreciate you and your service to our great country, United States Army.
United States Army,
Yeah.
that's right.
I was in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold that against me. I appreciate you still being here.
No.
All right, you still said yes and you agreed.
That's right, we all put our hand up.
We all put our hand up, as I say to veterans. We all took an oath, and swore to defend this great nation against all enemies.
That's right.
Foreign and domestic. That's right, partner. You served in the military for how many years?
30.
30 years.
Mm-hmm.
30 years of dedicated service to our great nation. How many years did you spend in Vietnam, Frank?
2.
And your MOS was?
Well, I was a helicopter pilot. It used to be 100 Bravo, I think was the moniker.
Okay, but what I want to do briefly is I kind of want to rewind the clock. Okay, I want to rewind the clock to before you even joined the military. You're originally from Niagara Falls.
Yes,
so
correct.
What was it that made you make the decision, as you said earlier, to put up your hand and take that oath?
Well, I was drafted.
You were drafted?
I was drafted.
Okay. When you received that letter, did you have feelings of fear? Were you scared? What?
Well, I think you would be a fool if you weren't, because you didn't know. You see pictures on the news and this, that, and the other thing. You read something in the newspaper, and you see these infantrymen going through the jungles and in the muck and the water and the filth and everything, and you get scared. I mean, you do. You get apprehensive.
Sure. And you're how old?
22.
22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You've left college, Niagara Falls. Now a 22, 23-year-old young man. You're now in this foreign country that most Americans can't point to on a map.
No, they wouldn't have an idea.
Do you remember what it felt like when you arrived in Vietnam?
Well, It was a long trip to get there. Now, a lot of the fellows before me had to go over on a ship. I was lucky, I got to fly. When you walked out the door, of course, the heat and the humidity. And when we got there, it was raining, and I mean raining. And a lot of people really don't know what the word monsoon really means. You know, Arizonans don't know what monsoons are.
When I first arrived in Fallujah, Iraq, we took a helicopter into Fallujah and were greeted by our battalion commander inside of a old, dilapidated house that the Marines had cleared out and basically taken up residency. And Dark Horse was his call sign, comes in, and he says to us, "Gents, this is the wild, wild west out here." In other words, it's not a matter of if you're going to get contact, but when you experience the enemy. What did that look like for you when you arrived in theater? Did you get something similar where your battalion commander, CO, says, "Hey, you're in the, pardon my French, you're in the and things could be dangerous"?
The Army is a little bit different than the Marine Corps because the Army is so big, so large, and you know, just a couple of short statistics for you. Of the 58,479 folks that died, service members that died in Vietnam, 38,000 of them were Army. 14,000, almost 15,000 were Marines. I
didn't know that, by the way.
And even there were 7 Coast Guardmen that died in Vietnam. And the Air Force and the Navy lost about 2,500 apiece. Most of the fatalities in Vietnam were 18, 19, 20-year-olds, mostly 18-year-olds. Something like 33,000 18-year-olds died in that country.
Your job in Vietnam as a helicopter pilot, what types of missions did you fly, or what type of missions did you conduct as a helicopter pilot?
One of my jobs was in a large maintenance depot. We would come in, land, the riggers would rig the aircraft, and then the Chinook would fly in, hover above the aircraft, they would hook it up, and then they'd jump off the aircraft, the Chinook would pick it off, we'd come in right behind it, pick up our crew, and go off. One of the best jobs I had over there.
You're in Vietnam. How long were you there? How many years?
2.
2 years. You spend 2 years in Vietnam. You go through and you see things that, you know, I can only, or let's just say are unimaginable. Many people don't experience. Meanwhile, back home in the United States, there's this huge debate roaring, and service members now begin to come home. And one of their names is Frank Murtagh. And that's kind of where I want to transition from your time in Vietnam and what you experienced there to when you came home. You and I were talking a little bit before this interview, and you said, look, Jimmy, there were things that happened that shouldn't have happened, and things were said. And I guess I'm wondering if you can just share some of your experience. And here's the reason why it's important to share this, Frank, because I want Americans to understand what you guys went through, and I want to fix it. And by sharing this information, as hard as it might be, it's important because it's going to lead to healing of other Vietnam veterans.
You know, we were well aware that the war was not viewed as something that the American people wanted to do.
It wasn't a popular.
No, it was very unpopular. And of course, when people come home and then go back and come home, the word spreads that we're not exactly ingratiated in the minds of especially the younger people.
And I think that if you're watching this video and you want to understand the psyche of a service member, we go to war for a very simple reason, and that's to defend our brothers and our sisters that we serve with. And what I hear you saying is that's exactly what you did.
Well, I think that's what, yes. And I know of many such situations where in the attack world we would divert to help a unit in trouble, even though our mission was done and we were going back to our compound.
How was it settling back in? Well, I guess you didn't really settle back in because you stayed in the military, right?
Yes, I loved flying, and I loved, as a maintenance officer, I had the enlisted folks working for me, okay, in a hangar, you know. So we would take care of aircraft, and that's what I did my whole career until the last 6 years, when I was brought into the Pentagon to help plan the exact war that you served in.
Frank, what would you say to Vietnam veterans that are still hurting and that need healing, that are watching this video today?
I think the first thing I would say is to reach out for help, and there is help out there. Every major military civilian organization will help. This outfit I was talking about in Tennessee, they do amazing work for the veterans. Amazing, and it costs their veterans nothing. And you don't have to be a member of the VFW. And there's also many government agencies that are available for counseling, for, you know, the government gives you support as in job hunting. And so there is all kinds of stuff out there to find help.
Having been through your experience in Vietnam at such a young age, what do you feel like it taught you, and what did you bring home with you from that experience?
Again, as a helicopter pilot, my life was a lot better than a whole lot of the folks who served there. The infantrymen, as an example, both in the Marine Corps and in the Army, had a very hard time. It was a hard life for them.
Would you ever consider going back to Vietnam again?
Oh, yes, yes.
You would?
It is a beautiful country, absolutely stunning.
Or do you feel like maybe it would promote healing by going back and revisiting?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Why is that?
Because, well, two things. First, it's a beautiful place. Second, the people are lovely. I mean, they are very, very nice people, and they're very smart. They didn't have the benefit of education. That's the difference between them and, say, your average American.
Many Vietnam veterans that took that oath, went to this foreign land, were exposed to things visually, emotionally, but also physically. And one of those things is Agent Orange exposure. So there's a lot of Vietnam veterans today that are still suffering mentally and physically from their experience in Vietnam. And what we don't want to happen as a society is for us to forget about these men and women. I appreciate your willingness to come here and sit down, and while I hear you that the life of, by the way, officers always have a better life than, you know, the enlisted. Come on, Frank.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But yes, maybe you did have a different life, but you still said yes. You still left Niagara Falls. You still went to a foreign land. You still took enemy fire. You still saved lives. And if it wasn't for brave men such as yourself, Frank, that took that oath and went into that foreign territory, we very well may not be here today enjoying the freedoms that all too often we Americans can take for granted. So we want to say thank you for your service to our great country. We have something special planned for you right now that we would like to do. So first, this is a commemoration on the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War by the President of the United States of America, a proclamation, okay, signed by Donald Trump. Okay, today, the President says, I lead our nation in somber reflection as we continue the 13th year commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, which began in 2012. We salute our brave Vietnam veterans, that's you, sir, who in service to our nation and in defense of liberty, fought gallantly against the spread of communism and defended the freedom of the Vietnamese people. So, sir, I'd like to present that to you.
Thank you.
On behalf of President Donald Trump, Ron here has a commemoration Vietnam War veteran pin for you as well.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you very much. I
You're
appreciate
very welcome,
that.
sir.
Frank,
All
thank
right.
you for your service.
Thank you, Ron.
Appreciate you very
Thank you,
much,
Jimmy.
sir. Thank you for your
Thank you.
service to our great country
Appreciate
and
it.
taking the time to come in here and
Appreciate
sit
it.
down with us today.
All right.
All right. Anything else on your heart that you want to share with us, or?
No, just that it was for the American people. We lost, 58,000 people, 58,000 military, and most of them were between the ages of 18 and 20. Scary. Most of those 50,000, 58,000 were between the ages of 18 and 20. Scary thought. And that's a lot of youngsters that could have had a great future.
So here's one last question for you. What, as civilians and Americans that aren't Vietnam veterans, what can we be doing today to help our Vietnam vets transition, maybe back into civilian life? Yes, they may have been here, for 50 years since the war has ended. Maybe they haven't got. What can we be doing?
Well, the best thing you can do for anybody that's in distress from the war is they should go to their local VA.
One last thing that I'll say is, if you're watching this video and you want to really give credit and honor where honor is due to Vietnam veterans, try this next time that you meet or you see a Vietnam veteran. Tell them, welcome home. Welcome home. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome home.